Well, hello, my lovelies. Lilies, lows, dudes, sugars, sugar lily, sugar mountains, sugar, well, I said sugar lily, lily moon, lily flower, right? A moonflower. We can't forget the moonflower. No, we cannot. We cannot forget the moonflowers. All right. So, the gato returned, and he got a little talking to. Well, you know how the gato is. He looked at me and he said, he looked at me. He's like, he said, piss off, essentially. Yeah. So that's the gato for you. And then because of that, he was stubborn, right? And you know what he did? He said, I'm not going to tell you any of the secrets that I got when I was out for, I don't know, 15 hours. So great. Whole day wasted. I couldn't get any secrets from him because, well, he's a stubborn gato, and he does what he wants. But he still wants to live here, though. So I said, gato. I said, you do live here, and he's like, yeah, but I can change that real quick if I wanted to. I'm like, oh boy, yeah. Anyway, we're gonna pick it up with part two of that press conference that was held by Moscow police and prosecutors after they did a victory lap and got the outsider with no evidence, which I find amazing. And, it is amazing, and it's actually, it's absolutely absurd, actually. But anyway, and yeah. But, it's like, how do I sprinkle in a little positivity? Because this stuff is really negative. It really is. All this stuff that we're talking about, it's negative, very negative. And, we need a little balance, right? We need balance. So, how do I sprinkle in a little balance here, right? And, yeah. But before we do that, you know, one thing that I puzzles me a little bit here. Well, just there's a million things that puzzle me with this case, but the knife sheath, guys. And I was thinking to myself, we've never seen the knife sheath. Okay, we have never seen that released yet. Will we see it? I don't know. I hope so. But then I was thinking, why? Here's my question, guys. Why would Moscow police? Why would they order a replica knife sheath to the one they supposedly found next to Maddie Mogan's body? Okay, why would they do that? Now think about this. Think about this, guys. No, seriously, think about this. And again, this question goes out to people who are who've done this, right? Why would you order off of Amazon, no less? And correct me if I'm wrong, but why would you order a replica knife sheath off of Amazon and take that knife sheath and knife? By the way, it wasn't just a knife sheath that they ordered. They ordered the exact same knife that Moscow police thought was used in the commission of this crime. And what did they do with these items? Well, they took them to the court. They took them to. Well, let me think about this. They took them to the coroner. Okay, well, the person who performed the autopsies, right? And they showed him this knife, and they said, I believe they all again. I believe they also ordered the knife sheath too. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong on that point. It could be. But anyway, they went to the lengths of ordering a replica K-bar knife and brought that to the coroner and said, could this knife have possibly been used in the commission of the crime? And of course, the coroner said, well, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's the exact same knife, essentially, that made those wounds. Now, guys, I thought to myself, why would you do that? Why would you? And not only did they do that, but I also believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I could be totally I could have misread this, okay? But I think they also ordered the exact same vitamins that they supposedly found in Brian Kohberger's car. Did they not? Now, I could be totally wrong on that point, but I don't think I am. I could be. I could be wrong. Because later on in their documents, they say that they found those exact same fucking vitamins or whatever they were in the back of his car like 2.5 years later. Yeah, think about that. They found those supplements, vitamins, whatever they were, 2.5 to 3 years later in his car that they supposedly processed. I want you to consider these questions. Yeah. Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. And that's why I'm not a cop, right? But I want to know from other people who have been in situations or investigating crimes like this, why would you do that? Why would you order a K-bar knife off of Amazon, take it to the coroner, and ask the coroner if this is the potential weapon that caused these injuries? Why would you do that? Well, I think we know I believe I know the reason why that is. Because we don't know what caused them, really. And so we have a fake knife sheath. Okay? And so my guess, here's my guess in all this with the knife sheath. Okay. Here's what I believe. Okay, this is just my opinion. Okay, of course. But here's what I believe they did. They got these items. Okay. And so they didn't have these items prior. Okay, they didn't find this. They didn't find any weapon or anything like that at the crime scene. We know this. They didn't find any bloody clothing except Dylan Mortensen. Okay, they found a couple of her items in her room that had blood on them, and the defense, we know this, the defense wanted those items, but Moscow Police Department, quote unquote, accidentally sent them back to her. Okay, yeah, with blood on them. Okay, yeah, and how Dylan got out of that, she said, "Well, I don't know whose jacket that is," and they believed her. Yeah, that's all she had to do. She said, well, I don't recognize. No, this is a direct quote. I don't recognize that jacket. So therefore, it must not be mine. Right, Moscow Police Department. Do you understand? I hope people who are happen upon me. This is not a real investigation. It's not. It's not. Watch any crime show. Watch, there's 4 million videos on YouTube that document true crime cases and police activity and all the kind of shit that they have to deal with. All right. I'm not anti-police whatsoever at all. I'm not. Okay. I'm anti-Moscow Police Department because of this case. Because this is not a real investigation. Okay. Now watch any of those 4 million, whatever, I don't know, there's got to be a million of them on there. And how police actually handle situations. And there's another little thing I wanted to show you guys. And I might do it in this video, okay, before I drone on way, way too long. Yeah. And I may incorporate that into this video. Because I can't give it away. I can't give it away because you're not going to sign up for my course. Okay, you're not going to sign up for it. But I do want to inject a little positivity into this because this whole case is entirely negative, right? This whole subject matter that we're discussing is negative, of course, right? It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. It really is. When you think about it, and if what we're told about the state of them, if that is true, that's absolutely horrible. It is. I mean, there's unless you're like morally bankrupt, which my garden's not. So let me try to wix a little bit. I think we're gonna leave this last video for the evening. We're gonna do a little wixing. Okay, you remember that concept of wixing, right? Well, yeah, you guys know what that is. So remember, we're gonna wix. We're gonna wix. Wixing. Okay? That's when we're mixing, and we're thinking alchemical here. This to me comes from alchemy, by the way. Wixing. Now, that's mixing two disparate. Listen to this. That's mixing two disparate concepts together to form a brand new thing that makes sense. Okay, that's what we called making gold, right? That's what we call taking a base metal and transmuting it into something we want, right? Wixing. Anyway, let's wix a little bit, my loves. And as I'm wixing, I want to inject a little positivity, though, because we need positivity. We do. Not everything can be fucking black and dark, right? Or else, well, we'll go insane. So we need positivity here. So let's wix, my loves. Let's wix. Let's wix, and let's wix hard. All right, here we go. All right, guys, and then we're gonna start with the positive. Okay, we're gonna start with the positive, and I hope you like this. Here we go.
Paw, good girl, so pretty. So pretty. Ellie, so pretty. Oh, rabbit kicks.
There we go. Hey, that's how I get when I had a really good cup of coffee. I just like that. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Oh. I'm gonna bite your face off. Okay. Yeah, that's me when I had a few too many, I think. Okay. Hey, positive, right? Positive. Look at that little baby.
May the force be with you, Lily.
Oh my. Oh my god. What is going on with this? Oh my god. Cat swing. All right. Oh my god. All right, that's enough positivity. Yeah.
Have said, well, in order for us to move forward, we want a factual allocution. But I have to be perfectly candid. I don't believe that there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would be the truth.
This is a rationalization.
There's anything that would come out of his mouth that
this is
would
excuse.
Self-serving, and I don't believe there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would not further victimize.
Again, we know that's an excuse. Thanks, Bill.
That just simply wasn't a factor. We made our decision based on our assessment of law and the facts. We made our decision based on being able to obtain accountability and certainty, not just for the victims' families, but for the communities and for the state. And that's where our obligations go. In the end, and the old Harry Truman thing, the buck stops on my day.
That being said, I'm curious as to where you think or believe the murder weapon is.
Oh, we already been through this. Sorry, guys.
Bill, does it have any bearing on where he will be placed or housed?
Where Mr. Kohberger, where the defendant is going to be housed, is going to be up to the Idaho Department of Correction. And that could very well change over time. And the reality is we will know about it after it happens. Over here.
Did you monitor Mr. Kohberger's communications while he was incarcerated? And did he say anything that was helpful or gave you any insight as to why he did this?
Yeah, we did monitor it, both while he was
course.
housed in Latah County, and then once he was moved down to
Sure,
Idaho
of course.
County.
We see that.
We
see that in the
hundreds,
documents.
thousands of hours of monitoring that was.
Well, you don't
done,
have
but,
hundreds
there
of
was
thousands of
nothing
hours. Come on, buddy.
of evidentiary value.
Yeah, you have some hours. And but you didn't answer the question. Okay. Brett Payne, where are you?
It's my understanding the jail will not be releasing things that involve personal conversations with third parties. That ultimately would be a decision because the recordings are in possession of the two correctional facilities or detention facilities. But I'm pretty certain the Latah County Sheriff's Office policy does not allow for that, and I would guess Ada County is similar. You can ask them. Back here.
Next.
With CBS News 48 Hours. Was there any evidence
Nope.
that Kohberger was following the social media
Nope.
of any of the victims?
Nope. Yeah, let's hear it.
So, trust us, we wanted that to be the case. We've looked for a link, and we have not found.
You mean you tried to forge one? You tried to forge a
The
link.
entire investigation.
Uh-huh.
I think that's something that we need, that you want, is to help to understand this and say, well, what's the connection? What
Right.
was the link?
What was the link? Good
And
question.
So
There is
we had
none.
every resource possible, and we worked that tirelessly.
And found?
From everything from his side, but all the victims.
And
all the
found?
victims from their side. So,
Right? And found?
we have never,
Right?
to this date, found a single connection.
That's right.
Between him and any of the four victims or the two survivors.
Now listen, people on the other side of the wall. Hang on now. Hang on. This is a teachable moment for people like Gray Hughes and Ken Maines. Let me rewind. Okay, let's go back here. Let's go back. A first time offender to this degree, right? Let's rewind.
Was following the social media of any of the victims?
Trust us,
No.
we wanted that to be the case.
Sure.
We looked for a link, and we have not found.
You tried to forge a link, but here's the problem. You couldn't falsify the social media stuff because, well, you can't, because this is just my opinion. It will be very difficult to fake that because you need a trail, okay? You need a digital trail. And I'll tell you what, that's difficult to do, to create a fake digital trail. It sounds like it wouldn't be difficult, but it is. And you'd have to fake that on one of the four victims, first of all, and then you'd have to fake that on his digital footprint. That's a tall order. And so he knows, and he knows, and he knows. Would rather be impossible. Now, the FBI may be able to pull some shit like that, but these characters and idiots, they would not be able to do that. So no, the answer is no. There was no connection between Brian Kohberger and any of the four victims in this case. The answer is no. It's always been no. And that is never going to change. Never and never and never. That's another reason why this should have went to trial, because there's no connection between him and these people. Just saying.
Found one.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
through
one.
The entire investigation.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we need, that you want, is to help to understand this and say, well, what's the connection? What was the link? And so we had every resource possible, and we worked that tirelessly. Both from
You tried to figure out a way to how to make that, is what you're trying to say.
everything from his side, but all the victims.
Right. Everything from his side and all the victims. Right.
And all the members of the House from their side. So we have never, to this date, found a single connection between him and any of the four victims or the two surviving roommates.
That's right. Isn't that amazing, guys? Hey, people in denial. Isn't that amazing? That someone now let's wix a little bit. That's not wixing. But let's think about this logically, reasonably, and orderly. A person who has never committed this level of crime in their life before happens to pick a house that is surrounded by 300 fucking houses and tons of people with cameras potentially everywhere. He picks that particular house, but yet there's no connection between him and any of the people that reside in the house. Now think about that. What are the odds of that? What are the odds of this? Now you say, well, what about Ted Bundy? Okay, what about Ted Bundy? Ted Bundy was a seasoned serial unaliver. By 1978, he killed probably, well, according to him, at least over 30 people at that point. So at that point, Ted Bundy didn't give a shit. He really didn't. And well, that's one of his downfalls. Okay, he got sloppy. Okay, he got sloppy. He got so sloppy to the point where he was arrested twice. Okay, before he was finally captured in Florida. Right? That's totally different than this case, where you have a supposed first-time offender looking to feel what it's like to do this, and he decides to pick one of the most populated areas you could possibly imagine. Does that make sense? Nope, it does not. It makes no sense. And the fact that these characters are up here and try to make you think that this is just, oh, well, that's just a part of things. No, it's just not a part of things. It just doesn't happen like that. Do you again, I go back to odds. Do you know what the odds would be on this happening? Again, it would be the same odds as Dylan walking out of that house alive and coming face to face with a maniacal killer. The odds would be in the hundreds and hundreds of millions. Yeah, and well, I'm sorry people who are in denial. Okay, I really am, because I'm sorry you can't think logically, reasonably, and orderly. I really am sorry, because if you do, this doesn't make any sense. In fact, that's the whole problem with this case, and that's another reason why this case should have went to trial. Because there's no evidence, number one, and number two, there's no connection between Brian Kohberger and any of these people that we're talking about. Isn't that a fucking coinkydink? Yeah. Well, again, my garden knows this. But this is a teachable moment for people like Gray Hughes, who now, all of a sudden, when the Charlie Kirk stuff comes out, oh, now all of a sudden he's a conspiracy theorist. Oh, but I'll tell you what, he had his rocks on for Brian Kohberger for some reason. Yeah, because he's a fucking moron too, just like the rest of them. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. How do you rationalize that? Yeah. Nope, sorry guys, I paused it. Duh, I thought they redacted it.
Background, his education, his training,
What training? What training are you talking about? He doesn't have any training. What are you talking about? I'm not sure.
You said earlier you couldn't identify a reason the house was targeted. Do you have a motive?
Do you have a motive? Well, hey, now let me write this down, guys. No, we really do have to write this down. We really do. This is how we learn things, right? We write them down. So at least that's the way I learn. So let's write it down. Oh yeah, this is another teachable moment. So let's review. Okay. Number 1, no connection. This is out of their mouth, right? No connections between any of the victims or the roommates. No connection. Okay? I'm going to say suspects. Okay? Because they are, in my opinion. No connection between any of these people. Right? Good. We agree with this, right? People in denial. You agree. You just heard it from the cops. No connections. And we're gonna get to motive here. And what you're going to hear, the answer to this question is we don't know. That should be the answer to this question. Because they don't know. Now, we heard all kind of speculation. Oh yeah. Oh, this was what do we hear? This was a motivated crime. We hear that, Ken Mays, right? Ken Mays, this was a S-motivated crime, right? But guess what, Ken Mays? You can't go in front of a jury with no evidence, okay? Geez, Ken Mays, you think you know this. Yeah, writing your books and all. You can't present this in front of a jury when you don't have any evidence. Well, I think it was this. Well, guess what? I think a lot of things too, but guess what? That's not evidence. Okay? Yeah. But let's hear what they say about motive. Yeah. Carry on.
We don't.
Yeah, we don't have, right? And that's great.
This kind of went, Anthony, each call assigned to talk to us at the very beginning, all of this happened, and now you're running the show. So I wanted to ask, as a community member, has this case shaped and changed how you're policing in Moscow?
It's changed everyone involved. How could it not? It was a devastating tragedy to our community, and our police department is a part of that community, and it was very difficult for us as well. So, this is just one of those things that will not define us, but it is certainly.
Oh, it will define you. Oh, it definitely defined you. It does now. Yeah.
Perhaps unprecedented level of interest in a court case like this in Idaho was matched by an extremely high level of secrecy.
Yeah.
In the case. The Gonzalez family has said that they're desperate for answers about what happened to their daughter. Do you anticipate most of the court documents being unsealed, or are there things that you will specifically request remain sealed?
As far as the court documents, Judge Hippler has told us that he is going to work with the attorneys to go through every sealed document. Probably most of the documents were sealed for the purpose of protecting against tainting a jury pool. Those documents.
Oh, wait a minute. Except for those, the 48 Hours special, except for the TV programs that came on before this was set to go to trial. Do you mean that evil Santa Claus? Yeah. Do you?
Unsealed.
You fucking rat.
Discovery, various things like that.
Yeah, you're a rat.
There are also documents in there that contain very personal, private information regarding victims and families. I expect those likely will not be released.
Like what?
Under Idaho's protections against what the law calls unwarranted invasions of personal privacy.
Okay, whatever.
I realize that can be frustrating for folks who want to be able to explore this. We have to balance, and the law balances the privacy of the people.
Well, then we just have to take it to the Supreme Court then, right? Because you're not the final authority on anything. You're not.
Who have suffered.
Neither is Judge Marshall.
Including the victims who are dead, with giving the public as much information as we.
Now, listen.
Hey guys, this is Senator John Ossoff
Fucking
from
ads.
Georgia.
Now listen, I don't give a shit about Social Security numbers. I don't want to know where people live. I don't want addresses and Social Security numbers. I don't want any of that stuff. But I want everything up until that point, right? I don't need personal identification, okay? I don't need PIN numbers. I don't need any of that crap. No, I don't want it. But I need everything else just about, okay? Especially in this case. Oh, yeah. And I hope we get it. But guess what? Here again is my personal opinion. Even if they unseal, it's still, here's the problem. It is still not going to lead you to Brian Kohberger. And that's another reason why they're taking their sweet ass time with this, is because they know they have, zero evidence. And we could talk about white Hyundai Elantras all day. That's fantastic. And we could talk about how cell phones ping off of cell towers, right? We could talk about that all day too. But guess what? That's not evidence. That's not evidence of anything. Here, I'll give you this. I'm gonna play a little game with you. Okay. We're gonna do a little play. Okay. It's called I Live in Moscow, Idaho. Okay, that's what it's called. And guess what? I work full time in Moscow, Idaho, right? And guess how many times my cell phone pings on one tower in Moscow, Idaho. Guess how many times my cell phone pings on that tower? In the course of, 3 months, guess how many times my cell phone pings on one tower in Moscow, Idaho? Because in this case, they're only using one tower. They're not triangulating anything here. And so guess how many times my cell phone pings in the course of 3 months that I live in Moscow, Idaho? 75 fucking thousand times my phone pings off of one cell tower in Moscow, Idaho. Is that evidence of me committing a crime? Nope. And that's what they tried to pull in this case, too. They tried to say, well, his cell phone pinged 23 times off of one cell tower in Moscow, Idaho. Great. Guess what? I live in Moscow, Idaho, and my cell phone pinged 80,000 times. Does that mean I killed these kids? No, it doesn't. It's the same principle. Okay? So again, people like Gray Hughes and people on the other side of the wall, like Nancy Grace and all these other morons in the mainstream media, that's not evidence. Okay? Unless you have me walking into that house, and unless you have a clear picture of my face driving that car, and you have a picture of my license plate, and you could definitively say that this white Hyundai Elantra belonged to Brian Kohberger, which they cannot do. They don't have a license plate. They don't have a person in the car. Okay? All they got is essentially, here's what they have. They have a white car. In fact, that white car that they have, that they decided it was a white Hyundai Elantra. At first, it was the wrong year. From a 30-year FBI specialist, 30 years. This guy was in the FBI, okay, and his sole job, well, one of his sole tasks was to identify cars. And guess what? He misidentified the car. Yeah, you imagine that? You think I'm making this up, but no, this is true. Yeah, so you have a 30-year FBI specialist who does this stuff for a living. He misidentified the car. And then, here's what happened. And then, when they decided upon Brian Kohberger is going to be the guy, they extended the years to fit his car. That's what they did. In fact, the car that we see driving around over and over again on those stupid videos, that looks very similar to the undercover police cars that we see that night. In fact, it's almost identical. In fact, I'd go as far to say it's just as likely that it's an undercover police car as I would say it's Brian Kohberger's car. Yeah, guess why? Because they look exactly the same. Especially on that kind of fucking shit video that they got. Yeah, you cannot tell the difference between these things. You cannot. And therefore, that's not evidence. And therefore, this should have went to trial once again. Because I could go up there in front of the jury and say, dear jury, let me show you this car. Okay? And it's going to look exactly like Brian Kohberger's car. But guess what? It belongs to one of the undercover officers. Now, can you tell the difference between these two cars? No, you can't. And a jury's not going to be able to do that either. So guess what? What does this mean? It's not evidence. Okay? That's what it means. And again, Ann Taylor, I hope you surrendered your law license for selling your client up the river. Because this is one of the strongest cases in the history of fucking crime. There's no evidence. Okay? Hey, show me the knife sheath. Where's that? And don't order one off of Amazon and then pretend that it was next to Maddie Mogan's body. Okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be ordering stuff off of Amazon, replicas and such of what you say is evidence. Yeah, why are you doing that? Why is Moscow police ordering replicas of evidence they supposedly have off of Amazon and then saying, well, see, this is the evidence we have? Yeah, little tricky little bastards, aren't they? Tricky little fuckers. But it's totally ludicrous. But that's exactly what they did in this case. Yeah, I'm not making it, guys. You know me. I'm not making any of this up. Yeah, and the vitamins too. And the vitamins. Pretty crazy. Yeah, and guess what else we're doing and wasting taxpayer dollars? We are comparing soil samples from ancient dirt to other soil samples from ancient dirt that span at least 7 different states. And can you believe that too? Because that's exactly what happened in this case as well. We have idiots comparing ancient soil to ancient soil. Yeah, that's not evidence. It's nothing is evidence. But here we are. Now the question we're going to get to, we have to address Brian Kohberger. We have to address this problem. We have to. Why is this particular person, first of all, why did he admit to this? Or why did he plead guilty? That's number one. Yeah, we're going to have to address that. Because if we don't, we're not addressing reality, okay? I'm still working on that piece. I'm still working on it. Now, can I prove it? No, I can't. Can't prove it. Unless it comes out later. But not at this moment. Not at this moment. I can't really back it up. You know what I mean? If I get through these fucking ads. Fucking evil Santa. You are a slimy little son of a bitch. Yes, you are. You're a slimy little dog. And you should have retired 30 years ago, you slimy little fucking, you corrupt son of a bitch, you. Yeah. There you go. That's how I feel about you, evil Santa. You smug son of a bitch. Oh, sorry, guys. Hang on.
Under Idaho's protections against what the law...
Yeah, fuck off. Which means you're not going to be transparent. Good. Yeah. Yeah. That should have highly concerned you. Yeah. You should answer that, Bill.
From an investigator standpoint, we already realize we often don't get to know that. We want it. We all do. We naturally want that. But the reality is, it's not something that we have to have or that we get. And the reality also is that oftentimes those very things that you're asking about, they're only known to one person. It's the person that commits those crimes. And I think
that's true. But here's the thing. You didn't even ask him. That's another problem. You didn't even bother to ask him, Bill. Santa. Evil Santa. You didn't even ask him. No. And what did evil Santa say? He said, because everything that he would have said would have been a lie. Because evil Santa here is also a psychic, is he? Right, just like Dylan Mortensen. Everybody's a psychic in this case. And you know what they're not? You know what this isn't? It's not a real investigation. Because everybody's playing a psychic here. Bill's a psychic. He's a psychic. He's a psychic. Yeah. No, you don't need motive. But damn, in a case like this, I would sure hope you have something kind of resembling one.
And I would add that going through this whole investigation,
oh joy,
I'd probably say it's easier than it was for Bill's offices. We were focused on a task. We had a task to do, and it was discovering evidence.
Which was get the outsider, right?
And interviewing folks and that sort of thing. So the
yeah, you did a good job on that. That's a joke.
necessarily doesn't play a part in that, right? Obviously it can, but we were just focused on getting the job done in the correct
and getting the outsider correct
way as best we
That's
could.
right. That's right. Listen. We had to get somebody as soon as possible because the University of Idaho was set to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that would sink a lot of people's fucking hopes and dreams for the next year.
The prosecutor's point,
including you, Santa.
Yeah, certainly lack of a clear motive is something that we think about and consider as we're preparing for trial, because we're going to have a jury of 12 ordinary honest citizens there who want to figure this thing out.
That's right.
But we also,
like me,
I've also found that juries tend to follow the law.
They also tend to want to see evidence, Bill, and you didn't have any.
And even jurors who come in with strong feelings,
Uh-huh.
they tend to follow the law that the judge gives, and there is no...
Well, yeah, that's not what we're talking about here. Fuck. Hey, you fuck. That's not what we're talking about, though. We're talking about a motive.
element of motive in Idaho law for murder.
Well, yeah, we understand that. But Bill, the problem is you don't even have a theory of one. You don't even have a theory of a motive because there's no connection. Again, do I have to go back to my paper? There's no connection between Brian Kohberger and the victims and the roommates and but that's the problem. That's why you don't even have a theory of a motive, because you could not find a connection between any of this stuff. But yet you still went ahead and decided to prosecute this particular person with no evidence, no motive, no connection between the victims or the witness, or I'm sorry, the suspects. No, but you still went ahead and decided you had to get somebody, and you had to get him quick. Because again, the University of Idaho was set to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in a plummeting enrollment that would have occurred the next semester and the following year. So fuck you and fuck you. Corrupt. Where's Ashley? Haven't seen Ashley yet. Corrupt and corrupt. They knew they had to get this solved fast because, again, a lot of people's money depends on the University of Idaho. His budget, police department's budget, lots of people's budgets depend on the University of Idaho. And if we don't get somebody, we're going to suffer greatly for it. And they got somebody, and it was an outsider, coincidentally. It can't be one of their own because there's too many connections. They couldn't do that. They had to find somebody who wasn't related to the community. And they certainly did that. They found somebody totally unrelated to the community, who had no family ties to the community, who had no connections to the community. And they chose their person. Yes, they did. You corrupt son of a bitch. You corrupt son of a bitch. Yes. That's my opinion, and that's what it is. But I feel that is accurate and true. Yes, I do.
We set that aside. You
set it aside.
That we were going to dwell on.
Because you couldn't. That's the problem. Because there's no connection between any of this stuff.
Specific motive, because we knew it wasn't legally required.
Well, that's true.
And practically speaking, we knew it wasn't something that we possessed that we could give to the jury without speculating. And I'm sure as heck not going to stand in front of a bunch of 12 jurors and start speculating. We're going to give...
Oh, I'm sure you would have. If this went to trial, your whole case was speculation, you fucking moron. What are you talking about? Your whole case was built on circumstantial speculation.
The evidence.
Yeah.
And the evidence in this case...
Which is?
At the time of his guilty plea, back on the 2nd...
Which was what?
That evidence was compelling. And it was his guilt without having to worry about...
No, and no. The little speech that Evil Santa did at the sentencing hearing, he tried to lay out the prosecution's case. It was fucking laughable because there was no evidence at all in his little summary of what their case would have been. I fucking laughed my ass off. Yeah, and I think a lot of other people laughed their fucking ass off too because that's not a case, It's all speculation. You have no hard proof of anything. You have a planted knife sheath that would have been challenged. DNA chain of custody would have been challenged, and you would have lost. Ray would have challenged your cell phone experts, and you would have lost. Okay, you have no evidence, Bill. You never did. You have no motive. You have no weapon. You have no bloody clothes. You got no DNA. You got no blood in the house, in his parents' house. You have no social media connection whatsoever. You have nothing, Bill. You have nothing. And that's why, again, Ann Taylor, I really hope you fucking never practice law again in your life.
Motive in a human sense.
Yes and yes.
Thank you for the question.
Fuck you, Bill. Evil sent another fucking ad. Alright, what's next?
Did he say anything when he was arrested?
Yeah, so Brett and myself and members of the FBI, we traveled back to Pennsylvania. We were there.
Yeah.
And I know they hit on it earlier, but I'd be remiss without talking about the cooperation and the support that we had from them was absolutely incredible.
Okay. Okay, great. Answer the fucking question. Did he say anything to you when he got arrested? That's the question.
We got on the ground with the Pennsylvania State Police.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, stop sucking each other's cocks, all right? Answer the question. Did he say anything to you when he got arrested?
There, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, great.
Anything that we needed, they were there.
Lovely. Wonderful.
So,
you drank a fucking shot of whiskey. Wonderful. Good for you.
we helped to shape what that looked like, what the arrest looked like, what took place.
Well, PA probably did a better job of shaping it because you fucking retards couldn't shape a fucking donut in a donut factory.
They hit the house on the search warrant, and he was taken into custody.
I'd take PA State Police over you morons any day of the week. Oh my God.
Brett and I were at another location, a barracks of the Pennsylvania State Police.
You were at the barracks of the Pennsylvania State Police. Yes, right there. Right, pretty close to his house. Not too far, actually. Not too far. Yeah. I believe that's in Monroe County. If I'm Monroe County, PA. It's close to Monroe County, PA, I believe.
Police, and then he was brought to us, and we conducted an interview with him that night.
You did.
In Pennsylvania.
Yes, you did. And what did he say to you?
We went into this interview. We used a lot of influence and guidance from the FBI and their behavior.
Why is that? Because you're an idiot?
Behavioral analysis unit.
Because you don't know how to interrogate people? It's obvious you don't.
Help us a ton.
Especially your two suspects called Dylan and Bethany.
Framing our investigative.
Yeah. You let them pretend that, like they were little girls, like little babes in the woods who never experienced anything in their life except selling drugs, maybe, and drinking in excess, getting loaded every weekend. Yeah, like that, like little girls do.
Our interview.
Fuck you.
When we spoke to Mr. Kohberger, we kept it pretty surface level to begin with. The idea being get him to.
Well, should I tell you what he said, or are you gonna fucking say it?
To speak and keep him speaking.
Which you didn't do.
It was pretty surface level, and then
right, which you didn't do. That's another good point. What he just says here, that's not what they did. In fact, they did the exact opposite of what he just said. Brian Kohberger kept asking, what do you want to know, right? He kept asking, well, what am I here for? And pretty much, like, how can I help you, essentially, is what I got. But they shut him down pretty quickly and said, well, you know what? Since you mentioned wanting a lawyer, okay, well, we're not going to proceed any further. So Brett Payne, you little fucking dwarf, that's not trying to get him to keep talking. You gave up, I think, after like 10 minutes. Yeah, pretty much.
And then when we tried to get into things a bit more detail, he decided to end the interview.
That's not what happened. You decided to end the interview. I could go back to your very own documents to contradict you. You decided to end the interview because you didn't know how to proceed anymore. In fact, well, I know why you ended the interview. It's because you felt it was unnecessary at that point because you already decided this is the person that we're going to get. So you wanted to go home is what you wanted to do. Okay, why don't you just say that? You wanted to go home because you didn't try to get him to keep talking. You know, he skirted. Here's what Brian Kohberger did. He skirted around the idea of getting a lawyer. Okay. And you're the one that ended the interview. He did not end the interview. You ended it. And I could show you your very own documents to fucking shove up your ass. You fucking liars. Everybody in this case is a lie. They all lie. Their very own documents contradict themselves. Contradict you. You ended the interview. Let's get that straight.
So
as soon as we tried to get...
That's a lie, you fucking dwarf.
Where I were there, which obviously he knows we're detectives from Idaho, so...
Well, no, you told him you were detectives from Idaho. That's you're a don't laugh, you fucking schmuck. You fucking roly-poly pig. You're a fucking pig. And I hate using that term, but I will in this case for anybody associated with Moscow, Idaho police. You're a fucking pig. You're a pig, and you're a corrupt son of a bitch. They're all corrupt.
That's when it really started to shut down, and they just shut it down. So
he didn't shut down. He kept asking you questions, and you got upset and frustrated, and you're the one that shut it down. Do you want me to go back and read your very own documents to you? That's what happened. That's the truth. My garden's not stupid, okay? So stop lying. This is a lie. Go back and look at their own documents. They're the ones that shut down the interview because they were getting frustrated and they wanted to go home. And they already knew that this was the guy that they were gonna pin this on. So they figured, fuck it. We don't need to be here anymore. The purpose of this was to establish contact, make themselves known, but they had no intention of actually interrogating him. There was no intention of that. There really wasn't.
Calm, relaxed.
Calm, yeah.
Very similar to what you see and whenever you see him in court.
Yeah, calm, relaxed. Why are you here? What do you... and he also says, I'm very concerned about my dog. What's going on? How is my family? Because you broke into my house at 2:30 in the morning and destroyed my property. Okay? And he says, well, how's my family doing? How's my dog? And that, I guess that frustrated these guys. Yeah.
Next question.
Now, again, the Pennsylvania State Police, they didn't do this. This was Idaho. This is fucking fucking inbred assholes like this doing this. Not Pennsylvania. Let's clear that up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you fucking rats.
I wonder if you talk about Mr. Kohberger's family, whether you got much cooperation, tips, input from them along the way.
That's a good... Hey,
I wasn't even really able to talk
that should be an easy question to answer.
about is that we didn't get any tips or any evidentiary items from the family. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so much for that.
Yes.
If you ever,
So they didn't rat him out.
if you ever had the idea of what made Mr. Kohberger take the plea deal at the end?
Yeah. What made him take the plea? I don't know. You fucking rat. Answer the question. What's so fucking funny? What's funny, Bill?
That was a short answer. You probably have time for a short follow-up.
You mean that was a short question, not a short answer, you fucking moron. Well, did she answer her own question? I don't know. We're gonna do one more. We're gonna take one more question from the peanut gallery, and then we're gonna leave it right here because it's gonna drone on. Let's. So here it is. Can I also follow up with you guys because I know there's some reports. Okay. I know there's some reports that there was what?
You guys here, because I know there was some reports that there was over pirates per container out of the house. Did you ever determine what that was?
I'm not sure what the fuck she said.
No, and the belief was in the one surviving roommates in her statement.
Oh.
That's out there was that she observed something in his hand. When she saw him, but
like a vacuum cleaner.
We don't know what it was.
We don't know what it was. How about that?
Going to testify about and cleaning something off of its work computer. Is some software expert. Was there any evidence that he had tried to wipe anything from his phone, software-wise?
Yeah, was there?
Yeah, and so this kind of goes into the connection to the victims as well. That's a similar question. We
No.
had the world's foremost experts on this
Uh-huh.
into it, and there was evidence that he had used software to wipe many of his devices relatively effectively. So there wasn't much evidence obtained after that.
Including, I think he had two cell phones, or was it just the one cell phone?
I think he had one active phone, but I don't remember, so don't quote me if he had more at his home or office or somewhere else.
Just the work computer that he had wiped.
Yeah, he regularly used software to try to wipe, clear things off. He used VPN on his devices also.
Ooh, it means he did it, guys. You know how, hey, listen, you know how many people use VPN? Oh, I don't know, probably 50 million? I don't know. I guess that means he must have did it, right? Because he used VPN. Hey, is that evidence? Nope. Nope. Nope, nope, nope.
Walk us through the decision to hand off the DNA process on the name sheet over to Offer Labs, being directed by ISP, and then ultimately the FBI takes over that process.
Right.
The prosecutor Thompson, I'm curious if you had concerns about constitutional rights issues based on how the FBI conducted themselves in that part.
I'll start, and I'll just speak briefly to, when we were notified that we had a DNA from the knife sheath, it was a single source male DNA, touch DNA, then we knew that we had capabilities to take that further. So the Idaho State Police has a contract with Othram Laboratories in Texas. So we flew that over there, and they started the process of working that, and what was the beginning of the IgG process.
Right, and then what?
At some point during it, we were working with the FBI, which we did closely throughout the entire case and every aspect of it.
Well, they took it over, right?
We talked and met with them, and they had further resources.
Oh, yes, they did.
Abilities that we thought may get us somewhere quicker.
Quicker. Hey, that's a good key word here. It got us somewhere quicker. It got us somewhere quicker, didn't it? All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with that thought. It got us somewhere quicker. Yeah, it did. So the university wouldn't lose any more money. Yeah. But guess what? It's called fabrication. Okay, because you had actual blood evidence that didn't match the victims, the roommates, or Brian Kohberger, and guess what? You didn't do anything with it. Yeah, actual blood. Think about that. I'm going to leave you right there, people on the other side of the wall. Yeah. My garden, I hope you have a beautiful evening, beautiful dreams, beautiful dreamscapes. Okay, beautiful dreamscapes. Tonight's dreams are going to be particularly beautiful. I hope. I really do. It's a beautiful night out, beautiful weather, and, there's some more positivity, I hope. And, I love you all. Okay, we're going to pick this up tomorrow. I want you to think about what we just watched. And imagine if this went to trial. Where do you think this would have ended up? Really? Because, again, this is... They can't even answer the questions, really, because they have no evidence to really say anything. Anyway, I love you all. All right, babies. Have a beautiful night. I love you all. Okay, bye-bye. Oh, yeah. Hey guys, if you've never seen this, I highly recommend seeing this, especially right before Halloween or on Halloween. Interesting parallels.
Child. What on earth? Oh, you. What in the world are you doing running around this time of night? In your gown? Oh, sweet bed. You're going to get sick. We're going to go down by the fire and get you warm. What?
It's not his room, I looked.
Oh, child.
Good night, my loves. Good night. We'll pick it up tomorrow, babies.
Nobody told you. Bubba's gone.
Gone?